Hi, so it's finally time to start inking in with our Sharpie markers. I'm going to start with the purple pair on this first layer here. I'm inking in with the lighter purple color and then I'll come in and add some details with the darker purple. So with the darker purple, I'm just going to come in and ink just the outside edge of these petal shapes. So the line coming down and then the line right here along this outside edge for each one of those petal shapes. The line coming down and the line along the outer edge. So for the next layer, I'm going to come in with these orange colors and ink in these petal shapes. The little orbs that are sitting on top of that sort of original flower shape, I'm going to leave them white so that later I can come in and add some gold, probably using a Jelly Roll pen. So often when I leave something white like that, it usually means I'm going to embellish it later on with some sort of either metallic or sparkly Jelly Roll later on. All right, so let's get the inside of each one of these petal shapes inked in. And then with the darker orange, I'm going to ink in that outside border of each of those petal shapes. So right along the outside here. Inking in is so satisfying. I often, will see coloring books at the craft store, but I enjoy drawing my own mandalas and my own Zentangles, so I often think to myself, I can create my own, and I'm just as satisfied by doing so. So I tend to go ahead and draw my own patterns like this in black and white so that I can have the joy later of inking it in as if it were my own personal coloring book. All right, so now I'm going to move on to the pink colors, and I'm going to ink in sort of these floating curvy diamond shapes that are sort of wedged in there, with first starting with the lighter pink here. What's so interesting about this is you could choose the same exact colors as me, but if you, ink in a different order or in a different pattern, your mandala will look, different, have a completely different personality depending on what inks you choose and where you choose to lay them down. So my hope here is to lay down the reds in these sort of floating diamondy shapes, and then put the greens in the background. That way it makes the red pop, really having that contrast color, that complementary color in the background with the green. All right, so let's take this darker pink color and do these sort of arced, like almost fan shapes that are floating. I might come in later and add some more black ink detail with these, but for now, let's just get the ink in here. I love this color, it's really vibrant. All right, so like I said earlier, next we have our greens, and I'm going to start with the darker green this time and ink in all of these sort of internal lines here, all of these borders that sort of are snaking through um, the pinks that we just laid down. This kind of reminds me of stained glass, the way you would have the solder, the lead connecting the different colored glass pieces. So this green is sort of like the solder holding this section together. I'm interested to see what it looks like when it's all done. All right, and finally we're going to add our lighter green in these little curved shapes that are left over. And it looks a little darker than I would like when I start inking it in, but once it dries, it does come out like a nice lighter green. So in the next video, we'll continue on this pattern, inking in the mandala using purples, then oranges, pinks, and then greens. And we'll just continue adding in that order until we get to the outside of our mandala. I hope that you have enjoyed this process so far and that your mandala is coming along well. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.